Hello guys, welcome back to another lovely trading video. In this one we're going to be doing some in-depth stock analysis on WBA, which is Walgreens, Walgreens Boot Alliance. And one thing we have been seeing with it is it has been selling off for about the past quarter. Reason for this, I mainly believe, is obviously, well, before it was kind of into an overbought territory, so reason for a sell-off. And then they're also discussing selling off Boots, which is basically the Boots is basically Walgreens but in England, and I'm not sure if in the rest of Europe if they operate here, but here in England, Boots is kind of one of our big pharmacies and just like a shop, basically like a Walgreens, yeah, in England. But they have been talking about selling them off. So really right now, and that's probably why the initial sell-off happened, because obviously if it's a Walgreens Boots Alliance, if they do sell it off, it will only be them Walgreens from there. But it is getting multiple bids from, tend to be large US PE firms looking to come in and buy it. But in a market where inflation is high, we could see this kind of offer, or the offer on Boots, be a lot more than expected. If so, then it could be quite a good long-term view outlook on the stock, because I think right now they have bids of around 10 billion, if I'm not mistaken, which is quite big and probably more than expected, especially for Boots. But either way, we'll kind of get into the analysis side now of Walgreens, but that's probably just the main movement, or main reason why the stock is moving. So to go into a clean daily chart, we do this so we can see any gap fills. And these, again, we don't tend to use them as actual buying targets, but instead we use them as selling targets, or just when to maybe start closing out some size on the position. So looking at here, there isn't actually too many gap fills to be looking at. Really the only one that stood out to me when opening the chart was around this 1480 mark, but apart from that, we don't really tend to have any gap fills to be looking at. So really our target on the gap fill side of things will be 1480. Now to go onto the main chart, the standard deviation charts, we can start seeing where it's low risk buy entries, and where would these targets be. And what we can see, at least on the 4 hour, is we are below the first deviation, which would quickly indicate that it's still a good buying opportunity. But on the daily, we're above the first deviation. When you see this, it's usually a good idea unless you're buying as an investment, if you're looking more to trade it, usually can be a better idea to wait for it to kind of fall below this level, because then you're getting a bit more of a discount. But we still do have support at 44.75. If price does continue or pushes lower, we got 42.50 and $42, and these are going to be our key buying targets if price continues down, because right now we haven't had the proper bounce. It's still in this downtrend. We're just having a few days of hesitation. Does mean it could now push up to statistical mean, but if it does push down, 42.50 and $42 are going to be those main targets. And if it has one push lower, $39. All these levels are relatively low risk, and levels we would be looking to get long. But now talking more about current price, where we are around $46. Again, not something we would look to take long now. The reason for this is statistical mean is at $47. Well, $48, kind of $47.75. So really the upside from here isn't too much, because that's where we would look to completely get out of this position. So it's only really providing around a 3%, 4% upside. And the problem also with that being our next target is there's no area really to move stops or lock in profits on the way. It's going to kind of just be a one-to-one risk to reward, or maybe even less. Just to kind of get a quick trade on. So it's something we would kind of avoid right now if it's looking for a short-term swing, or kind of just any kind of swing trade. It's something we would probably just be staying away from for the time being. And instead we'll be looking for a break to the upside or further down. If prices do continue down, again, we'll be happy to go long from kind of 42.50. If prices continue up, we're waiting for the break and hold above $49.50, because that is the highest statistical mean. So once price gets above this and holds it, then we can start looking at short bias targets, and those would be 58.90 we would avoid, just because it's too close to statistical mean, and probably the same with the 51.50. But these will be levels of resistance, so if you are long, you're holding through statistical mean, that can be a target. But when would we start looking to actually be short bias on this stock? And that will be coming into around the $53.75, the $56, the $56.75, $58.40 and $59.75. They're all going to be then short bias targets, or areas if you are long the shares to be locking in profits. But again, we don't, rule of thumb is usually don't hold past statistical mean, because then it's a lot more of a gamble where price is going to go But either way, that is the breakdown on Walgreens. I do imagine the majority of the move will happen when more information comes out on the sale of Boots, kind of what the final offers are, who it's getting sold to, and kind of when these transaction is going to happen, and if it even does go through in the end, they might end up deciding to hold Boots. But really, that is, I imagine, when this stock will become a lot more active and volatile, and when we'll probably be looking to trade it a bit more unless prices continue down. That's really the only way I'm personally looking to trade this. If it continues down, buying from the 42.50 and probably holding more as an investment trade or to statistical mean. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the breakdown on Walgreens. Hope you see you in the next one, and that's it. Peace.
It only takes 4 or 5 seconds, we're about to fold. You're sinking or swimming.